Nigeria's Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, has given FMDQ Clear its nod in principle to register as a central counterparty. With this approval, FMDQ Clear will transmit from a central clearinghouse to a central counterparty. Acting Managing Director for the FMDQ Clear, Ayodele Onawunmi, joins me and my guest host, Femi, Oladehin, a partner at Argentil Capital Partners, for this discussion. Welcome to this segment of the show, gentlemen. So Ayodele will naturally kick off with you. You're the one who has the most explaining to do here. What will change fundamentally as far as the FMDQ's operations are concerned, with the focus, of course, on FMDQ Clear?
Good morning, Christy. Good morning, Femi. In terms of what will change fundamentally, essentially, we set out at FMDQ to de-risk the Nigerian financial market, and we've done that in two phases. The first phase is to deal with the settlement issues in the spot market, so to ensure settlement finality, settlement irrevocability, and settlement certainty. Now, we have achieved that in the spot market with our central clearing house functions. Over the period, we've cleared on the average 5.2 trillion naira monthly in the fixed income market and over $50 billion in the OTCFX futures market. Now, to take that to the next level, we're now looking at managing, in the journey to de-risk the Nigerian financial market, we're looking at managing financial risk within the market. And to achieve this, what is changing is first the introduction of derivative products that would help those bringing in capital or people to externalize the risks, financial risks, they are not keen to hold on to. But beyond that, to address the counterparty risk that is imminent in these sorts of products. Now, that is what this registration from the SEC brings to the Nigerian financial market. That is what will change in our operations, which is now beginning to, we'll be able to sit in the middle and novate transactions within the Nigerian financial market.
So, Femi, you're the one who deals with the investors more directly in this case. When you look at the three of our profiles, when you hear a word like the risk in Nigeria's investment space from Ayodele, how much music does that bring to your ears?
It's a lot of music. I mean, and just to confirm how important this is. One of the things you're seeing, especially in the market, is that a lot of investors are looking at the market from a long-term perspective and looking at transactions and the risk of closure. And that is a risk that everyone looks at when it comes to Nigeria, especially because of the type of financial systems that we're running, and that still seems a bit disjointed. So I think that this is actually quite big news. Now, one of the things that I'm hoping that we may even get to, and it will be interesting to hear from Ayo what their plans are, because generally the market is looking at other products or other markets as well that can benefit from the sort of innovation that we're seeing from the NSE and FMDQ. So if you look at the commodities market, for example, where the risks around transactions are still very high, the risks around settlements are still very high. I would like to understand if there are even plans from guys in FMDQ to start to look at those markets and bring in their expertise towards bringing some form of stability and de-risking for those markets.
Ayodele, you might want to respond to that.
Right, Femi, thanks for that. In reality, the ability to clear and CCP products would range beyond the FX markets, will span the fixed income markets, as well as the commodities market. Yes, we have, based on our capital, which we have put in place, aside from the capital requirement from the SEC, we also have a default resolution reserve right now at about 15 billion naira, and with our intent to take that to 30 billion in the medium to short term, we know that as provided the products are structured and clearable, we are in a position to not only clear and settle them, but also novate them to add integrity to the financial market as a whole. So yes, we will be looking at the commodity space as well, the whole value chain of possible products. We will be in a position to novate, clear, and settle these transactions.
And honestly,
so I'll be role playing for a second here as the investor in this case, asking you, Ayodele, what will be the benefit for me as an investor to trade with FMDQ Clear, specifically in this case as a CCP? What's in it for me?
Okay, so here's that too. As an investor, all you would have to do is you would need, regardless of your views on markets, you could only take a position. For example, now we're saying that for the financial risk, we have investors who, yes, have exposures here, but there was never the opportunity to externalize risks they were unwilling to take. Now, before we speak on the FMDQ Clear or what is changed, we need to speak about the products that are coming to the market from the exchange, FMDQ exchange, which is largely around the exchange-traded derivatives. So for the investor, what begins to change is that the financial risks he's not willing to take, he can go into the derivatives market and externalize these risks. And this is possible because now there is a CCP. Now, it wasn't possible prior to this because the risks within the derivative contracts are significant, particularly counterparty risk. But with the approval in principle from the SEC, having granted such to FMDQ Clear, we are now able to help market participants, investors manage this financial risk I have spoken to. So if anything, I would say it gives investors and participants a whole lot more confidence in our markets.
Femi, you had a follow-up earlier.
Yes, so let me provide some perspective. You know, earlier on we talked about, I mentioned the derivative market as a very important market for us on a go-forward basis. And for us to be able to expand the market, we needed the derivative market to go live. So what Ayodele's vehicles do for us is, let's say I bought UBA options, right? What they would be able to do is to ensure that on the exercise date, I'm able to, take delivery of whatever I'm supposed to get from those options, which was always a risk in the market before now. So what you could easily see is that volumes of traded securities on the market would increase dramatically because investors can then manage their risks either by bringing in derivatives and somebody in there as an independent arbiter would ensure delivery of the underlying assets for those derivatives. So this is actually big news for us as an investing market. And I'm actually very, very excited about this. Very excited.
Clearly, a lot of music to your ears, like you said earlier. Thank you very much for your time on the show, gentlemen. I have been speaking to Ayodele Onawunmi, Acting Managing Director for FMDQ Clear, and of course our guest host on the show this morning has been Femi Oladehin, who is a partner at Argentil Capital Partners.